Hello again. So it is Art with Mr. O, and we are going to try out 2-point perspective. Now let me show you 2-point perspective. We're just going to do the basic box assignment, and 2-point perspective. Here's our. This is what we're looking at on 2-point perspective, and we have a worksheet something like this, but. Basically, 2-point perspective is like 1-point perspective, except 1-point perspective, when the box was facing you like this, and the closest thing to you was the front of the box. 2-point perspective is like this. So the closest thing to you is the front corner of the box. Now, that doesn't seem like much of a change, but now if you look at it, both sides are getting farther away from us, and so everything is getting smaller except the front corner, and the corners are staying the same because they're the same distance from us. So when it's down here, we can see both sides and the top. When it's up here, we can see both sides and the bottom. So in 1-point perspective, the only side we couldn't see was the back. But in 2-point perspective, we can't see either of the back two sides. We might see the top, we might see the bottom, we'll see the right side and the left side. We'll always see that front corner. Sometimes, if it's right in the middle, we won't see the bottom or the top. But other than that, we will always see the front two sides. So how do we set that up? Let's get started. So we take a sheet of paper, and I'm going to use the bigger straight edge now. It's a little bit straighter than our other one we had. And we go ahead and we make our horizon line. Now, we've been doing perspective. If you've done the 1-point perspective or the bird's eye view of the city, you know, we're kind of practiced up on the idea of what a horizon is and what the horizon line is. So we make the horizon line, and then on both ends of the horizon line, right where it touches the edge of the paper is where I usually put them, we put 2 vanishing points. Thus the name 2-point perspective. And now we simply make the front corner of a box. So I would suggest you do it somewhere in the middle, up above the horizon line a ways. And we're just going to make a vertical line. One line, front corner of the box right there. So now here's where we have to make a switch from 1-point perspective, because now from the top of this line and the bottom of this line, we have to go to both vanishing points. As a matter of fact, our rule gets a little simpler. We make all of our lines with a straight edge, but there's only 2 lines. There's vertical lines, and there's lines that go back to the vanishing point. Those are the only 2 lines in this whole drawing. They go to either vanishing point. Now, understand that is lined up with the vanishing point. I knew that I was going to have to erase it up here, so I let it fade out. If you watch the bird's eye view of the city, I did the same thing. I'm going to usually try to line it up so you can see me make the line. So I go from the top of this line to the vanishing point. Make sure my ruler doesn't move on me. I just go down towards the vanishing point, and I go from the bottom of the line to the vanishing point. Like so. And there is the front corner of my box. So this is the corner. This is one side, this is the other side. So now I have to decide where this side ends. And it has nothing to do with this side. So I could end it clear over here, and that would be a vertical line. So I look at my straight edge, and I make sure it's vertical, and then I go from that top line down to the bottom line. that is where this side ends. That's the back corner of that side. And so I can erase these extra lines. Usually I'll wait until I'm done with the box, but I can do it now just to show you. Okay. And then I got to decide where this side ends. So I could make it a narrow box like that, or I can make it a longer box. Let's make it a longer box so we can see it better. Let's go right there, and I go from the top line down to the bottom line again and erase the lines that I don't need that go past the back of the box. Okay, so all 4 of these lines go to either of the vanishing points. That's important. So now the next step is probably the easiest step, but it's one of the steps that people mess up the most. And it simply is going from this back corner of the bottom across to this vanishing point, and from this back corner of the bottom of that side over to this vanishing point. So they crisscross to opposite vanishing points so that you can see me make the line. I'm just going to go, the corner's right here. Just going to draw it back like that. Okay? And now I'm going to draw from that corner to the vanishing point until it crosses that line. And there's my box. Not terribly complicated. Some people think it's much easier than 1-point perspective. Some people think 1-point perspective is easier. And again, this is above eye level. The horizon line is actually eye level, so this is above eye level, so I can see the bottom. If you want to see what it looks like below the horizon line or below eye level, you just turn it upside down. Then I would see the top. So this is below eye level. Now I see the top. So let's go ahead and just draw one down there. And we'll draw one off to the side. So I'm going to go a little faster on this one. So there's the vertical line in the front corner. Now I'm going to draw from the top and bottom of that line back to each vanishing point. And again, I am lining it up. I'm just not drawing all the way back. And that's fine as long as it's lined up. As a matter of fact, I prefer to do that because then I don't have as much line to erase when it's time to erase the extra lines. So from the bottom of the line and from the top of the line, there's the front corner again. I'm going to make my back corners. There. And I'll go over here, make sure it's a vertical line. I'll go over here. And there really isn't any rhyme or reason. You can make them as big as you want them to. So now, from each of these corners here, I crisscross to the opposite vanishing point. And you'll be able to see it here on the video. Line up that one. Go with that vanishing point. Line up this corner. Go to that vanishing point. So just until it crosses. There's my box. Erase the unnecessary lines, the extra lines. And yes, I do want you to erase those. Now, just a little trick of the trade. If you don't want to accidentally erase, the line that you want to keep, just put a piece of paper right just over it. And then erase right up next to it, just like that. Little trick there. They actually sell little pieces of metal called eraser shields for something like that. Okay, so one more thing, and you might remember this from 1-point perspective. What happens if our box is on the horizon line? Well, same thing. There's our front corner. We go from the bottom of that and the top of that to each vanishing point. So I'm going to that vanishing point. Now I'm going to go over to this one from the bottom and over to this one from the top. There's my front corner. I'll erase some of this horizon line just so it's a little easier for you to see, can comprehend what's happening there. So there's the front corner of my box, and I can't see the top or bottom because it's on the horizon line, and so I simply just go and decide where I want to draw the back corners in, erase the extra lines, and there we go. So those of you in my classroom, your assignment is to do a minimum of 20 of these. And like we did with the 1-point perspective, once you get 20 of them very, very neatly drawn, and we want to minimize eraser marks and smudges and rips and mistakes and crooked lines and stuff. We want it to be as good as we can do. Once you get 20 of them, or however many you're going to do over 20, come up with a color scheme for all your boxes. So we would need a color for the top, a color for the left side, the right side, and a color for the bottom. And then go ahead and color them all in very neatly. It can be colored pencil, it can be marker, it could be ballpoint pen for all I care. Just do it neatly and make it look good, and do them with the same color scheme. And if you want to write the color scheme on there so you don't forget, I'm okay with that. That's absolutely fine. Okay? So, and remember, this is just practice. We're practicing 2-point perspective, and it'll take a little bit for it to click, but I think you'll be good on this. And it's kind of fun once you get the hang of it, and you can draw some things in 2-point perspective. And you're going to get better and better as you practice and practice. So have fun with your art.